In this video, I will explain how severe afflictions to houses related to marriage, happiness, family life, and bed comforts will deny or delay marriage to a boy or girl. To arrive at conclusions on this issue, you have to carefully examine the second house, fourth house, seventh house, eighth house, and of course, 12th house also. A thorough examination of all these houses can only reveal whether the promise of marriage is present in a natal chart or not. That means whether a boy or girl will get married at all in lifetime. Now, you may genuinely ask, what is the necessity of studying all these houses when marriage is related to 7th house? No doubt, 7th house represents marriage, life partner, married life, and marital happiness. But there are other houses also that are directly or indirectly related to marital happiness, family life, bed comforts, and other issues related to married life. What are the houses and how they are related to marriage or marital happiness? I will explain this. First, we have to study 7th house. 7th house means married life, life partner, conjugal happiness, and of course other issues related to marriage. So, we have to compulsorily study the prospects of 7th house and its lord, the strength or otherwise of the 7th house lord, the afflictions inflicted on 7th house and on 7th house lord, because that is the direct house which deals with the married life of a person. Apart from that, you have to study second house also to know whether a promise for marriage for a boy or girl is present in a natal chart or not. You have to compulsorily study second house. Second house represents family, apart from other things, right? But family means what? Till marriage is solemnized for a boy or girl, second house would consist of parents, sisters, brothers, and of course family elders also. But after marriage, the family would consist of husband for a girl or wife for a boy and their children too, right? So, family life has to be studied in two ways, up to marriage and after marriage. So, to find out whether a person will get married or not, you have to study second house, because after marriage, the person gets a family of his own, of her own. So, study of second house is a must to find out whether promise of a marriage is there or not in a natal chart. Similarly, you have to study fourth house also to find out whether a person will get married at all or not, or how the person's marital life would be. Because fourth house is 10th house from 7th house, and 7th house represents marital life, conjugal happiness, and life partner. In any natal chart, 10th house stands for midday. That means great heights. That means like a sky. It represents the heights or lows of a married life. Is it clear to you now? So when 4th house is 10th house from 7th house, it represents the heights of married life or lows of married life also. So you have to study 4th house also to know whether there will be marital happiness or not. Okay? Now, after studying the 7th house, second house, 4th house, you cannot avoid studying the 8th house, because 8th house becomes the second house from 7th house. Actually, in any natal chart, second house represents family life of a married person, right? Since 8th house is second house from 7th house, 8th house becomes family house for the life partner of a married person, right? If it is the family house for the life partner of a native, it becomes the family house for the native also. Agreed? So 8th house also you have to study without fail, and you cannot avoid. Next comes 12th house. 12th house means bed comforts. To put it straight, bed comforts means sexual life. After marriage, the partners will only have bed comforts, right? So, in the process of trying to know whether the promise of a marriage is there or not for a particular person in her natal chart, you have to study that aspect also, whether the promise of bed comforts is there or not. After explaining all these things, I now feel that you are convinced on the need to study second house, fourth house, seventh house, eighth house, and 12th house also in a natal chart to find out whether promise of marriage is there or not for a particular person. Now, I will explain in detail the chart of an unmarried girl who is 32. For the last 10 years, the parents of the girl are trying to conduct her marriage, to solemnize her marriage. The family is very rich, but the family so far failed to solemnize her marriage. You can cite several reasons for this. They are not getting suitable matches. The girl is not liking the boys. They are not getting a boy who is well educated, who is well settled. They are unable to get a counterpart of the same worth and value. Like this, you can cite several reasons. But these are all for worldly consumption. The fact is, the promise of marriage is not there. I will explain this in a simple way. Whether you quit a job on your own or whether your services are terminated by your company, the only fact is you are out of the job. Your chart reveals whether you will continue in your job or not. Similarly, natal chart reveals whether you will get married at all or not in your lifetime. Now, take a close look at the chart. Lagna, that is ascendant, is Virgo. It contains moon. Second house, there are no planets. In third house, Mars is there in own sign, Scorpio. In fourth house, Saturn and Mercury are there. In fifth house, Sun, Venus and Rahu are there. In 10th house, Jupiter is there. You will find out that 7th Lord Jupiter is in 10th house, which is a very good thing. Second house Lord Venus is in 5th house. That is also an excellent thing. And Lagna Lord and 10th house Lord Mercury is in 4th house, which is again a good thing. And of course, 5th house Lord is in 4th house, Saturn, which is also 6th house Lord. Ketu in 11th is also good for monetary gains, for professional gains. On the face of it, the chart looks very good. But what is the problem that denied her marriage for the last 10 years? This chart has no promise of marriage at all. The girl may not be married at all. I will tell you why. 7th house is afflicted with the 9th aspect of Ketu. And of course, moon is also afflicting the 7th house because moon is also lord of the sign in which Ketu is present. So that means moon is also afflicted, and moon's aspect on 7th house keeps it afflicted. And 7th house Lord Jupiter is also afflicted with the aspect of Saturn, which carries additional influence of separation. You must know that whenever there is the influence of two or more separation planets on a particular house, the native would be separated from the characteristics of that particular house. There is no doubt about it. Take a look at the second house. Second and 9th house Lord Venus, which is supposed to enhance the worth and value of the native, is situated in 5th house in the company of Sun and Rahu, which are planets of separation. That means second house Lord is in the company of two separation planets, Rahu and Sun. That means Venus also becomes planet of separation for this native. As you know very well, Sun is a natural planet of separation. But here it is also Lord of 12th house, which also has the characteristic of separation. That means Sun here represents character of separation twice, and Rahu is a planet of separation. That means three qualities of separation are afflicting Venus, which is Lord of second house. That means second house is receiving the influence of separation immensely. This means the native would be separated from the characteristics of the second house, that is from family life. Take a look at the fourth house. Fourth house is crucified between Mars on one side and Sun and Rahu from the other side. In fourth house, Saturn is present. Saturn is also a planet of separation. Since it is the lord of the sign, hosting the presence of two separation planets, the Sun and Rahu, it also carries additional characteristics of separation. So Saturn, carrying thrice the quality of separation, is afflicting Lagna Lord Mercury. Apart from that, Saturn is also aspecting the Lagna through its 10th aspect. This means Saturn is causing affliction to Lagna and Lagna Lord also, apart from the fourth house. Now, take a look at the eighth house. Eighth house Lord is Mars, which is placed in own sign Scorpio. But the problem is, Mars is situated in the last 3 degrees in Scorpio, and the last 3 degrees is called prohibited degrees. Eighth house is the family house for the life partner of the native, but it won't be of any help despite Mars sitting in its own sign. The simple reason is Mars is sitting in prohibited area in its own sign. Apart from that, Mars is also under the influence of Ketu. That means Mars is also afflicted. And this means the 8th house is also afflicted. In general, in any natal chart, Sun maintains good strength. In some charts, the strength of Sun goes up to more than 200 also. Strength of a planet is revealed in Shadbala. But here, in this particular chart, Sun, as Lord of 12th house, representing bed comforts, is very weak with the meager strength of 81%. That means the bed comforts are very weak. So on the whole, the second house is afflicted, receiving the influence of separation. Fourth house is crucified between planets Mars from one side and Sun and Rahu from the other side. That means fourth house is afflicted. Seventh house is afflicted with the aspect of Moon, which is Lord of the sign, occupied by Ketu. And seventh house Lord Jupiter is also afflicted with the aspect of Saturn, which carries additional influence of separation. And 12th house Lord Sun, representing bed comforts of the native, is also weak. Hence, there is no promise of marriage in this chart. I hope you have understood. Thank you for watching and God bless you.